Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're digging into something pretty intense, Psalm 102.
Yeah, it's often called a prayer of the afflicted.
And it really lives up to that name. I mean, this isn't a happy psalm. It's what happens when someone is just completely overwhelmed, broken, and, well, pouring it all out.
Exactly. It's like this ancient permission slip for being honest about suffering.
Yeah.
And our mission, really, is to see how this text validates that deep pain,
Right.
but also finds this incredibly solid anchor of hope.
Right, because that's the struggle, isn't it? When things are falling apart, maybe your health, your job, whatever, how do you actually find anything stable?
Mm-hmm.
And Psalm 102 does this amazing thing. The writer makes this conscious turn.
A pivot. Yeah.
From focusing on their own despair, which feels huge and overwhelming, to looking at the eternal nature of God.
And that shift, that cognitive move, is what we think can really help stabilize trust, our relationship with God, especially when modern life feels so uncertain.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We have to start where the psalm starts, with that raw, unfiltered honesty in the first, 11 verses? The lament.
Absolutely. He's not holding back. Hide not thy face from me. It's a plea right out of the gate.
It shows that real faith, deep faith, actually makes room for this kind of pain. It's not weakness.
No, not at all. And what's striking is how physical the despair becomes. It's not just sadness. He says his days are consumed like smoke.
Like life is just evaporating.
Yeah. And his bones burned as a hearth. You know that feeling, that constant low-level ache when you're deeply stressed or grieving.
Oh, totally. It sounds so much like descriptions of, say, burnout or even clinical depression today, where your body itself just feels wrong.
Right. And the imagery keeps coming. His heart is smitten and withered like grass.
Just dried up, lifeless.
Exactly. And then there's this detail, I forget to eat my bread. That's profound self-neglect, isn't it? So consumed by the anguish.
His basic needs just fall away. Wow.
And he mentions his bones cleaving to his skin from groaning. The pain is literally wasting him away.
And all this leads to this feeling of being utterly alone. Cut off.
Mm-hmm. He uses these really desolate images, like a pelican of the wilderness.
Or an owl of the desert. Creatures you picture totally solitary.
Yeah. But the one that always gets me is the sparrow alone upon the housetop.
Right. Visible, maybe, but completely isolated, watching everything happen down below, but not part of it.
It's that modern feeling of loneliness, even when you're scrolling through feeds full of people,
That deep isolation. And worse, he feels like the suffering is somehow from God, because of God's indignation and thy wrath.
He feels lifted up and cast down, like a plaything of fate, almost.
And he sees his own life fading away, like a shadow that declineth, withered like grass.
And, if the psalm ended there, well, that would just be despair, full stop.
But it doesn't, and this is where it gets really interesting, but also challenging. How do you make that shift? When you feel that bad, how do you just change your perspective? It sounds impossible.
It does. But the structure of the psalm helps. It's right there, verse 12. Just when he's hit rock bottom, articulated all the frailty.
Bam! The turn.
Exactly. He forces himself to look up, look outward. He contrasts his own temporary fading life with God's permanence.
But thou, O Lord, shalt endure forever.
And thy remembrance unto all generations. It's like dropping an anchor in the middle of the storm. He's saying, okay, I'm falling apart, but you are not.
So it's not just positive thinking. It's grounding in a theological reality. My existence is like grass, temporary. God's existence is eternal.
Precisely. And then he takes it even further. He uses this incredible cosmic analogy later on, verses 25 to 27.
Yeah, the heavens and the earth.
He reminds himself and us that even these things we see as permanent, the earth, the sky, they were created. They had a beginning.
And they have an end in a way. He says they'll wax old like a garment.
Like clothes wearing out, fading, tearing.
They shall be changed. That's a pretty radical idea. Universal impermanence.
Think about that. If the earth itself wears out and changes, what hope do we put in things like, the economy, our career status, the next big tech thing? Those things change constantly.
At warp speed sometimes.
Right. So the psalm concludes the only thing that doesn't change, the only constant, is the Creator. Thou art the same, and thy years shall have no end.
That constancy, that's the bedrock.
That's the bedrock. If everything we know is temporary, like fading garments, then we have to anchor ourselves to the one thing that isn't subject to time and decay.
Our hope can't be in the garment. It has to be in the one who remains when the garment is gone.
Exactly. And this isn't just, a personal comfort thing for the psalmist. He sees a future legacy in this.
Right. He expects this story, his struggle and God's faithfulness to be written down for the generation to come.
He understands that his pain, processed this way, can actually strengthen others down the line. It builds collective hope.
Okay, so let's bring this home. What does this ancient wisdom mean for us now? Dealing with our own stresses, our own anxieties.
Well, first, I think it's huge validation for mental and emotional health.
Yeah, how so?
Gives us permission to be brutally honest about feeling burnt out, depressed, lonely, whatever it is. The psalm says, yes, that's real. Voice it. Don't suppress it.
Okay, honesty first. Then what?
Then we model that perspective shift.
Yeah.
It's about resilience. In modern terms, you might call it reframing.
Right. When the circumstance of the job loss, the diagnosis, the breakup feels overwhelming.
You consciously shift your focus, like the psalmist did, away from the fading garment of the situation, towards something enduring. Maybe it's your core values, your faith's foundational truths, your sense of purpose.
Things that don't wear out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those are constant, even when the world feels like chaos. You anchor to those fixed points.
And that's how you build trust, even when everything feels uncertain.
That's the core of it, I think. You
Yeah.
acknowledge, yes, everything human is fragile. It will change. It will fade. My health, my security, my relationships, they're all temporary in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
But you consciously focus on the nature of God, which the psalm insists is unchanging. That provides the stability. It doesn't mean the pain magically disappears, but it means you have an anchor that will not move, no matter how bad the storm gets. That security strengthens trust.
It allows you to face the change without being completely capsized by it.
Right. And then there's that last piece, documenting the journey.
Turning personal pain into something that helps others.
Yeah. The psalmist wanted his story recorded. Today, maybe that looks like journaling, maybe it's sharing your story honestly with others, maybe it's finding community online or offline where people talk about resilience.
So individual suffering becomes part of a larger story of strength.
It builds up the community, just like the psalmist hoped. It shows that deliverance, even if it feels far off, is possible because it's rooted in something permanent.
So the real power here is that combination. The raw honesty about how bad things can feel, plus the unwavering focus on the divine anchor.
That combination, it moves you beyond just being stuck in the pain towards a longer view, grounded in that unchanging presence.
It offers that deep security we're all kind of searching for, especially when it feels like the ground is constantly shifting beneath our feet.
When everything seems to be wearing out or being replaced.
Okay, so here's something for you, the listener, to think about this week. Based on this idea that God's character, God's nature, is stable and unchanging, even when our world feels like it's wearing out like an old garment, how will you apply that insight in your own life? How might it help strengthen your trust or stabilize your perspective when things get tough?